A lighthouse is meant to be a symbol of safety, a beacon in the dark. That beacon became the center of a mystery that has never been solved. 3 experienced lighthouse keepers vanished completely without a trace. The sea offered no answers, the island kept its secrets, and their disappearance remains one of maritime's history's most enduring mysteries. This is the story of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse and the baffling vanishing of its keepers. Now imagine, you're sailing through some of the most dangerous waters in the North Atlantic, and the one light you're depending on is completely dark. That's exactly what happened on a cold night off the coast of Scotland, and that's the moment when this mystery is going to start. The mystery began on December 15th, 1900, when the steamer SS Archer passed the Flannan Isles. Captain James Harvey noted something alarming. The lighthouse was not illuminated. In waters known for dangerous reefs and heavy Atlantic swells, a dark lighthouse was a serious concern. Because of severe weather, no one could immediately investigate, and it wasn't until December 26, 1900 that the relief vessel reached the Flannan Isles Lighthouse. What they found was unsettling. There was no welcome from the keepers, no flag raised, and no one waiting on the landing dock. The main door was closed. Inside the lighthouse appeared mostly orderly, but with strange details. The beds were unmade. The kitchen table showed a sign of a recently eaten meal. The clock had stopped, and 2 sets of oilskins were missing, but one remained, suggesting that one man might have rushed out without proper storm gear. Outside, there were signs of storm damage near the western landing, twisted railings, and equipment displaced by powerful waves. But the 3 keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducamp, and Donald MacArthur, were nowhere near to be found. No bodies were ever recovered, no distress signal was ever sent, and no definitive explanation was ever proven. What began as a routine lighthouse shift had turned into one of the most baffling disappearances in maritime history. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse stands on the Ellen Moor, the largest of the small rocky Flannan Isles. These islands sit in the North Atlantic, about 20 miles west of the mainland of Scotland, isolated, windswept, and surrounded by some of the most dangerous waters in the region. The lighthouse was built by the Northern Lighthouse Board and completed in 1899. It was first lit on December 7, 1899, just 1 year before the mysterious disappearance of its keepers. Its purpose was simple but critical: to guide ships safely through the treacherous Atlantic waters filled with hidden reefs, strong currents, and violent storms. Before the lighthouse was constructed, the islands were rarely inhabited. Local fishermen often avoided them, and there were even superstitions surrounding the remote outcrop. Once operational, the lighthouse required 3 keepers at a time, working in rotation to maintain the light and to ensure passing vessels could navigate safely. What was meant to be a symbol of safety and stability in a dangerous sea would soon become the setting of one of history's most enduring maritime mysteries. So at this point, we have 3 lighthouse keepers that are completely gone. No bodies, no distress signal, and a lighthouse left in silence. At this point, rumors could have taken over. But instead, the Northern Lighthouse Group sent out one of its top officials to examine the scene for himself. What he found would form the official explanation, one that still sparks debate over a century later. When the relief crew confirmed that the 3 men were missing, the Northern Lighthouse Board launched an official investigation. Superintendent Robert Muirhead traveled personally to the Flannan Isles Lighthouse to examine the scene. Muirhead focused much of his attention on the western landing area, a rocky docking point used to haul supplies from the boats. There he discovered significant storm damage. An iron railing was bent and twisted, a supply box was smashed, a crane was displaced from its position, and rope was scattered across the rocks. These signs suggested that a powerful Atlantic wave had struck the island with tremendous force, strong enough to damage heavy equipment positioned more than 100 feet above sea level. Muirhead concluded that the 3 men likely had gone out during severe weather to secure equipment that had been left exposed. His theory was that one man had been swept away by a sudden wave, and the others rushed to help him. Then a massive rogue wave pulled the 3 men into the sea. With the cliffs towering above and the violent Atlantic swell, rescue would have been impossible. No bodies were ever recovered, which, while unsettling, this was not unheard of in these waters. The North Atlantic is vast and unforgiving. The official verdict: all 3 men died by drowning during the storm. But for many, that explanation has never fully satisfied the mystery. So officially, the case was closed. A tragic accident, a rogue wave, drowning. But when investigators looked inside the lighthouse, some things just didn't add up. When investigators stepped inside the Flannan Isles Lighthouse, they expected signs of chaos, but instead, they found something more unsettling. Normalcy interrupted. The lighthouse interior showed no evidence of violence, no overturned furniture beyond a single reported chair, no blood, and no signs of struggle. But there were strange details. 2 sets of heavy oilskins and boots were missing, suggesting that 2 of the keepers had gone outside during harsh weather. However, 1 set of oilskin had still been hanging inside. That detail fueled speculation for decades, because lighthouse protocol required full storm gear when going out in rough conditions. So why would one man leave without it? The lamps had been carefully cleaned and refilled. This indicated that the men had been carrying out their duties shortly before they vanished. Everything pointed to routine activity, until suddenly it stopped. There was no packed luggage, there was no farewell note, no sign of a planned departure. And perhaps the most chilling of all, no bodies were ever found. Not in the water, and not along the cliffs. Not anywhere on the island. Inside the lighthouse, it looked like the men had simply stepped out for one moment and never came back. More than 120 years later, the disappearance of the 3 lighthouse keepers from the Flannan Isles Lighthouse remains unsolved. Over time, explanations have ranged from logical to tragic, and even the supernatural. The most widely accepted theory were that the men were caught in a sudden, massive wave while attempting to secure equipment at the West Landing. The Atlantic Ocean around the Ellen Moore is known for unpredictable swells, and investigators documented storm damage to heavy iron railings and supply boxes. There was evidence that enormous waves had struck the cliffs. Some speculate that tension among the isolated men may have escalated into an argument or a fight near the cliffs, resulting in a fatal fall. However, there was no sign of struggle inside the lighthouse, and all 3 men were described as experienced professionals. Other theories suggest that strange things might have happened. These theories lack evidence but continue to fuel legend. Local folklore surrounding the Flannan Isles spoke of a strange presence of phantom boats. Some believe that something unexplained occurred, a story that grew over time. Rumors suggested that espionage or that some men staged their disappearance. There is no historical proof of this, but it adds an intriguing mystery. Early newspapers even floated the idea of a sea monster, a sensational explanation born from fear of the unknown sea. While the supernatural and conspiratorial ideas capture the imagination, most historians agree that the harsh Atlantic environment was the most probable cause. And yet, without bodies, without witnesses, and without a final moment recorded, the mystery of the Flannan Isles refuses to fade. More than a century on, the disappearance of the Flannan Isles Lightkeepers resists one definitive explanation. It was a freak wave, a tragic accident, or something else unexplainable. With no bodies and no final answers, this remote rock in the Atlantic keeps its secrets and continues to captivate imaginations around the world.